best you can within these sessions. If there's anything you can't do, or that you need to reduce the movement, or whatever that adaptation is, feel free to do that. You guys know your body better than I do, so you do what you could do with what you have available to you. If you need to take any breaks as well at any point, feel free to do so. If you need to take any water breaks or that's absolutely fine. I always recommend that you do stay hydrated during these sessions. It just helps to keep our body flowing nicely. Okay, so let's get started first of all by making sure we're in a nice comfortable position, just as some more people join in. And we're just getting started for those who did. So nice comfortable position. Nice and relaxed, and start with some breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, and just continue that breathing there. And when you're ready to, start to make that out breath longer than the in breath, and really sort of relax into where you are. And let's bring our focus into the breathing, not worrying about what we've done in the last hour or two or what we're doing later, remembering to focus on the being present, being in the moment. If it helps you can close your eyes or you can keep them open, totally up to you. Whatever helps you to focus on that breathing. And whilst we're here in this moment, let's thank ourselves for coming here today. Let's make sure that it's acknowledged that this is something positive, something good to do, and showing up here is the first step and probably the biggest step in doing these sessions. So well done for showing up today. Well done for turning up. Let's transition that thought into thinking about focus. So we are here, we've turned up. Let's make sure we are focusing on the session, making sure that we are putting the best effort that we can in every movement we do, and to stay present throughout the hour here that we're doing. Again, we don't need to worry about what we've been doing. We don't need to worry about what we're doing later. We just want to focus on the here and now. Give yourself a second to do that. And if you want to, you can open up your eyes or you can keep them closed. Choice up to you. But as you breathe in now, let's shrug the shoulders up. As you breathe out, relax them down. Through. And maybe getting a little bit deeper with the breath as you do so. As you breathe in, a little bit more. Don't know if aggressive is the right word, but a little bit more on the on that side of things with the breathing. So big deep breath in. Squeeze those shoulders up, and then breathe out. Relax them down, and almost pull them down at the bottom as well. Okay, let's do a similar thing, but instead of going up and down, we're going to come forwards and back. So squeezing the shoulder blades together and then pushing them forwards. And again, link the breathing in, whichever way feels natural. I feel like as I bring the shoulders forwards, that's the breathing out. And as I bring them back, that's breathing in. Okay, let's bring our hands together in a prayer. And as we breathe in, reaching up towards the sky, out, around as you start to breathe out, around and back to the middle. Reaching up, out, around, and back again. If you can't do the full up above your head, just get to where you can. If that's just a small circle, that's fine. Whatever you can do, wherever it is, that's what you do. But as you do this, I really want you to feel as you come up, the hands stay together, reaching up as high as you can whilst keeping those hands together. And then as soon as they start to break apart, that's when you open up the hands, stretch it right the way out as best you can and round. And linking it in with your breath, so we're all going to be at different times and different paces. So however long it takes you to breathe in, raise the arms up, breathing out, stretching it right the way around. Then increase it a little bit more with a stretch. At the moment, we're sort of coming in the center line as such, but if you want to increase it more, you can come up and then almost bring it back behind you as you come around. So just a little bit more stretch through that chest area as you do so. Good. Keep that going there. So the next one. Okay, so what we're going to do now, similar move to what we just did, but when we bring our arms parallel, we're going to put in a rotation. So we bring hands up to the sky, out and around. When we get to shoulder height, we're going to rotate round to the left side, rotate back, and then bring the hands together, back up, out, around, get to shoulder height, rotate to the right side, back to the middle, and then back in again. And then repeat through that once on the left, and then once on the left, going on to the right. There you go, palms together, reaching up the best you can, out and around, shoulder height with the arms, rotate round to one side, and then back to the middle, arms back together, and repeat through on the other side. Link the breathing in again if you haven't already. And if you don't know when to breathe, just go with what feels natural and slow here. Make whichever one you're on now the last one. Good. Okay, we're gonna add an extra step in now. Just wait for you guys to finish off the one you're on. Good. So they're gonna add one more step in there. So we're gonna again bring the hands up towards the sky, out and around. Rotate round to the left side. But once we're here, we're gonna drop the left hand, which is our rear hand, down. The right arm comes up towards the sky as we reach backwards behind us. Be careful you don't tip back if you're in a manual chair. So just be careful of that. Back up to the middle, rotate back to there, and then back to the hands position. We're going to repeat on the other side now. So hands together, reaching up, out and around, parallel to the floor. Rotate round to the right side. Right arm drops down, the left arm comes up, reaching up the best you can, and then seesaw back in, rotating around. So it's a good idea to get that image of a seesaw in your head as you're doing this. So hands up, around, and at shoulder height, rotate to the left. Seesaw back, so the left hand drops down, right arm comes up. Coming back on that seesaw again, back to parallel, and back into the middle, into that prayer position. Go in your own time and your own pace now, if you've got that. We're into seesaw back, dropping the back hand down, raising the front arm up, and then back again. In spasm, as I do, I'm going to watch you guys, see how you're doing. Looking good. Good movement there. Nice work, everybody. Let's keep that going. Make the one you're on now the last one. No rush here on the last one. Nice. Let's add in 1 second. Just wait for everybody to finish. Good. Okay, let's add in an extra step now. So one more step. And this one is a thread the needle step. So this is an extra one to add on to the end. So we can all go together to begin with, and then you can go at your own pace once you think you've got it. So basically start with palms together, reaching up towards the sky, reaching out and around and to parallel. So that's our first step. Then we do the next one, which is where we rotate, drop the left hand down, right arm comes up towards the sky. Now we come back on that seesaw, but this time instead of coming back to the middle, we take our right arm and we put our forearm on our lap, and that left arm comes up towards the sky. So this is the position we're in now with the forearm on the lap, arm up in the sky. And in your right armpit, you've created a gap between your armpit and your leg. You're going to bring that hand, the left hand, down through that gap and rotating all the way around to the other side. And that's your thread the needle part. Pull it back out again, back to the starting position with the prayer. Let's go on to the other side now. So hands together, reaching up towards the sky, out and around to parallel. Rotating around to the right side, right arm drops down, left arm comes up towards the sky. Seesaw back, so the left arm comes down, right arm comes up, left forearm resting on the legs, right arm pointing up towards the sky. Then bring the right arm down through the gap you created between your arm and your leg and pointing through. Now, I can get quite far down on this. I say that not as far as I usually do, I'm probably out of practice, but you might not be able to get all the way through, but just get to where you can. Even if you stood up, you put it through a little bit, try and rotate as much as you can, and bending forward as much as you can as well. Okay, coming back down to the starting position, Let's go again. Again, if you feel like you've got it and you're in your own pace, feel free to go for it, but I'm going to continue explaining it as we go. So hands together, reaching up, out and around to parallel, rotating around to the left side, left arm down, right arm up, seesaw back, right arm, forearm comes onto the lap as the left arm reaches to the sky, left arm comes down through the gap that we've created under our armpit on the right side, and back out again to the starting position. Arms together, reaching up, out, parallel, rotate to the right, right arm down, left arm up, seesaw back, left arm on the lap, right arm pointing up towards the sky, and coming down, thread the needle through, feeling it there, good. Arms together, reaching up, out, parallel to the floor, rotating to the left arm down, right arm up, seesaw back again, right arm on the lap, left arm pointing towards the sky, coming down, threading the needle through the gap. Yeah. Our palms together, reaching up, out, parallel to the floor, rotate to the right, right arm down, left arm up, seesaw back, left arm on the lap, right arm pointing towards the sky, coming down, threading the needle, and back to the start position. So wherever you are, I want you to do one more on each side, okay, but I want you to really slow it down on this one, maybe 3 times slower than what you just did on the last one. So I want you to really slow, really control. This is going to be our last one on each side. This one as slow as you can. So palms together, slowly reaching up to start with. Once you get to the top, out and around. As you do so, feel that stretch as much as you can, reaching right the way out to the side, stopping in parallel, rotating around to the left. Left arm drops down, right arm comes up, nice controlled movements. Make them slow, but make them smooth. Right arm's reaching up to the sky. And as we seesaw back down, nice and slowly, right arm comes onto the lap. The left arm points up to the sky. Then we bring it down through the gap that we've created, reaching right the way through to the other side. Just holding it there for a little bit, stretching a little bit here. And then back out again. Onto the other side for the last one, reaching up. Out. And parallel, rotating to the right. Right arm down, left arm comes up, reaches up the best we can. And back down on that seesaw. Left arm onto the lap. Right arm reaching up towards the sky. Then coming down through that gap. Thread the needle, stretching right the way through to the other side. And then easing out to there. Good. Finish the one you're on if you're still going, but keep on going nice and slowly. Okay, so yeah, as I said, I know a few of you were sort of getting on with it a bit there, which is great to see. So that last bit there, the thread the needle, that's quite a hard position to get into. Even for flexible people, we were doing 2 different movements there. So if you can't get into this position, you can either sort of sit out of it a little bit, but just sort of rotate. But if that's too much, you can always come and then just rotate across the body without leaning forwards too much. Or if the rotation is the problem, then we can just come down into bending forward. So a few different adaptations. I know some of you struggle with the rotation, some of you struggle with the flexion. So whatever you can do when you get to this position, we're just sort of coming down and around in some sort of way. So have a play around there if there's a particular thing you can't do or that, but that's okay either way. Good. All righty, let's get it back down with our breathing again. So nice and slowly in through the nose, out through the mouth. And let's calm that nervous system back down again. Sometimes when we do some of the more movements, our heart rate can get up. We want to keep it nice and down and relaxed as we go through this. Okay, so we're going to go through some mobility in some of our joints here. We're going to start with our wrists. And the first one, we're going to link the breathing in with it. I like to rest down here, but if you want to hold it up, whatever it might be, I like to rest, it's a bit easier. So I'm going to bend the wrists up so the palms are facing forwards, and then bend them down. So hands on my knees. We're going to come to this. My name was in the way there on the screen. There, we come here. So I've got like that, and then bringing it down. And we're just going to go through flexing and extending those wrists. And again, you can link the breathing in here, so you can breathe in, breathing out. And as you do this, you'll feel a stretch. You might even feel your arms start to shake a little bit as you get to the more extreme ends of the stretch. Back to it again. And now we're going to rotate our arms around. So now our palms are facing up and repeat through that. So bring the hands together. Sorry, flexing it so the hands come towards your biceps. And then bringing it down in that stretch again. So back and forth.
Hey, Ben,
Yes.
you have a cervical level spinal cord injury and you can't pronate. Could you offer an adaptation? Maybe you could pull your
Yeah.
one hand down, your
Yeah.
fingers out or something.
Exactly that. Yeah. If you can't do that wrist flexion and extension, we can use the other hand to assist. If you can't use the other hand to assist as well, you could use your forearm if you haven't got the strength in your wrist to do that. There you go. So there's some options for you. If that's the case. So you can use that assistance. And then just swap. Good. Now the next one we're going to do of our wrists, might come a bit closer again. It's a little bit harder to explain, but we're going to have our wrists sort of facing this way and we go up and then down. So it's a little bit of, so the movement, if I was going side to side, but we're having our arms facing in towards each other and they go up and then down. And again, I come to the side, so it's like this. You can almost pretend you're firing a gun like that. That's the best way. Not the best thing, but yeah, just I can't think of what else that would be in situations. Again, maybe do both wrists up and down. And if you can't do that, again, we can assist with it.
Hammering. You're hammering a nail, but gently.
You can tell I don't do DIY.
Maybe milking a cow.
Yeah, that's Good. Okay, so we're going to move from our wrist now, and we're going to go onto our elbow. And we're going to do a bit of stretching in the triceps and the biceps. We're going to start with the triceps. Now, this one can be a little bit tricky to get into position, so I'm going to give some alternatives here for it. So if you can get into this position, great, which is where we reach the hand right the way up and then bring it down our back. And I'm going to come around the back here to show you. So we're going to come down the back here. Good. Now, if you can't do that, but you can get into a position where you can feel that stretch, even if it's further down. I know that some of you may be restricted in your movement here, that's great. If not, we can come across our body instead, put our hand on our opposite shoulder and have the elbow pointing in front of us. And with that, you still get a little bit of that stretch, maybe not as much as you would if you got up here, but I know that going up here isn't possible for all of you. You get a bit of a stretch there and a little bit of stretch in the rear of the shoulder as well. So get into where you can. And again, if you can't come all the way over here, we can just do as best we can. Just getting a bend in the elbow. This thing here we want. So we're just going to hold that for a bit. Liz is showing, well, not that you can see because it's all on me, but if you can always pull the other arm up and over. I struggle with balance to show this one, but you can always bring it over. But yeah, even that's a struggle for me as well. So you can do that with that one as well. Again, that I know for some of you that will be a very tricky position to get into. So just do what you can there. Okay, let's go on to the other side. And if you can, stretching it, use the other hand if you need to. Or again, coming across the front. Whichever one works for you there. Good, easing out a bit. Okay, so we're going to do our bicep next, which is the muscle on the front of the arms. So this time what we're going to do is we're going to, so start with here, with your palm facing up, and then I want you to rotate your palm so it's facing down. And then we're going to bring our arm fully extended and then back behind us the best you can. Now, if you struggle to keep your arm up here, you can use the surface as well. I've got a chair here, just to rest it on behind us. But in this position, with our arms back behind us, the palm will be facing up towards the sky, and you get a little bit of a stretch. It's quite hard to stretch the biceps. You have to take it through quite a big range of motion to be able to do so. But that is where we would find it there in the stretch. Again, you can hold on to something, or if you don't need to, we can just do like so. And we're just holding that for a little bit longer. And let's repeat on to the other side. So again, I like to start here, palm facing up, rotate it down, extend the arm, and bring it behind. And the reason we want to have that palm in this position behind us facing up towards the sky, if you rotate it around to the floor, you'll feel that that lessens the stretch quite a bit. And the reason for that, as you continue that stretch there, is essentially our biceps do three different things. The first one is the one that everybody knows, which is it flexes the elbow, but it also rotates the palm up, and it also lifts the arm up slightly. So it's got, that's its three movements. So to stretch it, we do the opposite. So the first thing we do, extend the arm, rotate the palm around, and then bring the shoulder all the way back. And that's how we feel the stretch. Excellent work. Good, easing out a bit there. Let's take a short little break to have a drink, get ourselves rehydrated, and then we'll move on to the next bit that we'll be doing. Yeah, then good stuff so far. We're about halfway through the session. And we warmed our body up a little bit, did a few stretches, and we are going to do something similar now again, but then we're going to go through some mobility, and then we're going to go into stretches in some different muscles here. First of all, let's reset ourselves after our drink with a little bit of breathing, and then we'll move into it. So nice, slowly in through the nose, out through the mouth, relaxing down. And when you're ready to, let's start mobilizing our neck. We've done this before, which is nice, simple, looking down, looking up, and gliding nice and gentle back and forth between the two. If you want to, and you can link it in with your breathing. I like to breathe out as I go down, breathe in as I bring the head up. There you go, I just need a bit of extra drink. Okay, when you find yourself looking down next, we're just going to hold that stretch and just let the head sink into the position here. Breathe into it if you're not already. And every time you breathe out, just let it relax down a little bit more. Out of it, doing a couple of looking up and looking down. And then next time you're looking up, holding that position there. And remembering, if you want to increase the stretch, make sure the mouth is closed. And then the other thing we can do, we can put our hand sort of on the clavicle area, sort of in between the two clavicles, and pull it down slightly whilst keeping that mouth closed. And in case you didn't know, the clavicle is the collarbone, which is these two. Okay, easing out of it again, looking up and down. Okay, let's go into some rotation. So looking left, looking right, and back and forth between the two. Next time you find yourself looking to the left, holding it there. And then if you can, I just take my left hand, put it on my right clavicle, and then do the same as what we were doing when we were looking up. But instead, we're sort of pulling it down diagonally. Again, I'll be a bit blurry when I come forwards because my focus is back there, but bring it by. So here's the clavicle, hand on it, and I'm pulling down sort of diagonally that way, sort of towards my armpit as I rotate round. And if you get it right, you'll feel a stretch sort of between that collarbone and your jaw in sort of a diagonal line. Okay, easing out of it. Go back to looking left and right. And the next time you find yourself looking to the right, holding it there. If you need to, right hand on left clavicle, pulling down and diagonally into that left armpit. Bit looking left and right. And then on the next one, we're going to do our lateral flexion, which is where we bring one knee to one shoulder, one knee to the other shoulder, and back and forth. First of all, just mobilizing those muscles, warming them up, getting them ready for the stretch. And the next time you find your left ear to your left shoulder, we can get a little bit more of a stretch in there, bring that left hip right the way down. And as we discussed earlier about, we can increase that stretch. So the first thing to do, drop that right arm down and feel a little bit more there. And then if you want to increase that a bit more, I'm going to turn around so you can see it from the back. So my left ear is towards the left shoulder, right arm's down, I can bring it across my back and I can sort of pull it. And the further I go that way, the more I'm going to get the stretch there. If that's too intense, the stretch, you can bring that arm down, just put it down towards the floor. With this, you might feel it shift slightly, keep it going there. If the arm's straight the way down, you feel it maybe a little bit more in the neck. If you do it in the neck muscles, sorry, and if you do it sort of behind your back, you're going to do the neck, but you're going to sort of shift that focus a little bit more onto the trapezius muscle. But it's not going to be a massive difference. You might find it's a slightly different area. Okay, easing out of it. Let's go back to one ear to one shoulder to the other. And then when you're ready, bring the right ear to the right shoulder. The left arm drops down. Feel that stretch there. And then again, if you want to, you can bring that left arm across your back. Feel it a little bit more. You might find one side is easier to get into position than the other. For me personally, getting into this one is a lot easier. It's usually your less dominant arm that you can mobilize a little bit more, I find anyway. Although if you're a quad like myself, I have a disability, there isn't such a thing as a strong side. It's two weak sides of one that might be a little bit more dominant than the other. Easing out a bit there. And with these ones, it can be a little bit more sensitive as you come out of it. So nice, easy movements. And then let's go into the rest of our spine now. So starting with the flexion extension. And bring, if you can, use your arms to pull yourself through. And then curl over. That's great. If we can't, we can use our backrest here just to go back and forth between the two. So curling over, use your hands for support if you need them. And then coming up, arching back. And going back and forth between the two. You might find after 3 or 4 of them, you move a little bit easier. That's just as these muscles are starting to relax. And to help with that mobility. And the reason for that is the muscles that the area of our spine that we're mobilizing now is an area that's sort of split between stability and mobility. So the neck is almost pure mobility with a bit of structural stability for the head. The middle of the spine is sort of bit of 50-50, bit of structural stability, bit of mobility, and then the lower spine is much more stability than it is mobility. We are mobilizing that lower spine and the mid spine, so they're a little bit harder to get moving to begin with, but once they do, they move quite well. It just sometimes takes a couple to get it moving. And they're almost like waking up. So, oh, it's mobility time, not stability times. Hey, let's go in some rotation now if you can. So we rotate around to one side, rotate around to the other side, and we go back and forth between the two. And we're going to go into some lateral flexion. That's where we bend down to one side, down to the other. Try not to lean forwards as you bend down. Try and stay upright and just down to the side, not front or back. I was actually imagine I'm between two panes of glass behind in front of me, and I'm just sort of sliding down each side. Okay, nice. Let's do a little bit of some stretching now with those some muscles that are more connected to that region. We're going to start with a lat stretch, which is the big muscle on our back that sort of goes up to the back of our armpit and down to the sort of the middle of our spine. And to do that nice and simple, we're going to reach over the best we can, just as I say. Now, if you can't get your arm up and above your head, not a problem. We can shift that and bring it across as best we can. So if you can get here, right above the head, that's great. But if you can't, you can bring it down in front of you. And even if that's too much, you're gonna just wherever you can get it, that you're leaning over to the side and that arm comes over too. But the preference is bringing it up a little bit high, because that's the lat there. As we bring it down, it shifts it more into that mid sort of upper back regions instead. So both good stretches, but we just wanted to focus on the lats here for a second. We're just holding it there, feeling that stretch. Yeah, let's relax out, over to the other side, and repeating there. And again, if you can get up and over, great. If not, we can bring that arm across a little bit lower instead. Or you can mix it up if you feel like you could pop this for a couple of seconds, but that's all. You can go back and forth, find the positions that work for you. Ease out of it again, go back to the first side. Down to there. Over to the other side. And again, you'll probably find that you have some imbalances. One side will be tighter than the other or feel tighter. One side you feel like you get better range of motion, maybe. Some of it's muscle imbalance, some of it's mobility, some of it's a sort of a perception within your mind. Sometimes we feel like we're getting further than we are or less further than we are. So there's lots of different factors that come into it. So sometimes it's not as simple as having some tightness in your muscle, which is a whole other story that will take me a while to explain. So I won't go into that right now. Good. Okay, so we're going to stretch our chest now. And I've got a couple of different ways to do this because for some of you, the first one isn't enough. So we might need to go a little bit stronger with the stretch. So I'll give you some adaptations here. The first one is one that we did last week, which turns to the side. So hands around about our hips and then just bring those elbows behind us. And as we know, if we've got a seat behind us and we can't bring the elbows together, we can lean forward slightly to increase that stretch across the chest. Now, for some of you, that would be perfect. That would be stretching the chest, great. If not, you've got another option for you. If you don't have a wall, which I'm going to explain in a second why that's useful, we can bring our hands up and then pull them back. So I'll come to the side, so you can see it there. So here, and then just open up that chest and you'll feel it a little bit more than if you have the arms down here. Okay, and then if you do have a wall or something that you can do this on, then you can line yourself up next to it, hold it on the wall, and then stretch into it there. But I know that I can see that not everyone's got a wall by them, so that's just another option. You can always do this one in your own time as well, in a door frame or something. Again, we can come back to this. And the reason why this one, with your hands down, is easier than your hands up is again to do with the chest, and similar to what I was talking about with the biceps, is because the chest pulls the arm across the body, but it also pulls it in a downwards direction. So that if we come up and across and back, we're going to feel more of a stretch the higher up our arms are. So the higher your arms are here, the more you'll get a stretch, but obviously that's a difficult position to hold or get into for some of you. So again, we've got a wall or a door frame that can help support that, which you can do in your own time. If you don't have one right now, which is just feeling that a little bit more. You can use a street lamp as well, or something like that, anything you can, so you can get a little bit more of a stretch. And if doing both arms together is difficult, you can just do one arm at a time. For the balance, just making sure that you're staying forwards rather than putting it back and rotating with it, because otherwise just rotating and not getting that structure. Good, easing out of it there. And then lastly, we are going to go into the back stretch, which is the one where we put hands on our hips and then push our elbows forwards. We're going to come around to the front, so you can sit there. Quite like, it's like a superhero pose, but you bring your elbows forwards, which I've seen some models do. It's very bizarre when they do this. He's got a pouty face as well. You don't have to do that bit though, that's not essential. Good, easing out of there and giving it a little shake off. Good. Okay, we're going to go into a little bit of meditation here to finish off. I'm just going to grab a drink before we do so. So if you want to, before we start doing that, that option is there for you. Well, if you haven't got a drink or you've had one already, get straight into the breathing, in through the nose, out through the mouth, closing down the eyes, and then I will join you to guide you through this last little bit. So if you're not already, start with that breathing. Relaxing down into your seat, just get into a really comfortable position. Doesn't matter, I don't mind if you sat upright, leant forwards, leant on something to your left or right, just whatever feels comfortable here is what I one from you now. So nice, slow, deep breathing to start with. Good, okay, so hopefully now we're in a relaxed position. Keep that breathing going, keep yourself nice and relaxed. And what we're going to do today is a body scan meditation. For those of you who have come to my sessions in years past, you may remember this, but for those who haven't, don't worry, I'm going to guide you through this here. There's a few points here that I just want to mention before we get into it. We're going to be focusing on different areas of our body, and I know for some of you, focusing on some areas can be traumatic, either mentally traumatic or physically traumatic, like thinking about those areas or paying attention to it, especially if you've got something like chronic pain or whatever it may be. Please feel free to skip those areas, feel free to move on or to go back to an area that we've already done, whatever feels natural and right to you. I don't want to put you in an uncomfortable position here, which feels like you have to do something which doesn't feel comfortable. So if that is the case, please feel free to do what you need to in that situation. Good, so to give you a bit of a premise of what we're going to do here, we're going to start from the top of our head and we're going to scan all the way through down to our toes. I'm going to guide you every step of the way, and as we do, we're just going to check in and focus on each individual part of our body. As we do this, what we're doing, we're bringing attention to an area, because sometimes in our busy lives, or if we have something that's already going on with our body, all of our focus and attention goes on there. We sort of don't pay attention to the rest of our body. So, for example, if you've got shoulder pain, you may not focus on your neck as much because it might be a case of putting the focus in, seeing how it's doing, gives us a bit more awareness of our body and how we interact with it. Right, let's get into it now. So again, keeping the breathing going nice and normal and natural as you go through it. And we're going to start with the top of our head, right on top of the top of your skull here. And just focusing on there, seeing how it feels, listening to it, observing within your mind's eye. And just slowly coming down, we're going to come around the front of our face to begin with, down through our forehead, into our eyebrows. And as we get to different parts, feel free to give it a wiggle, see how it moves, see how you interact with it. And then moving down into the eyes and maybe just the area underneath the eyes. And these areas can give you a bit of focus. Now you're concentrating on this area, and it might feel, under the eyes might feel a little bit heavy if you're a bit tired. Might be that you've been computer all day, which means your eyebrows will maybe a bit achy because your eyes have been open and staring, but whatever it may be, having a think about it, noticing how it feels, and then moving down into the cheeks and the mouth and the jaw. And for me, whenever I do these, I'm usually coaching it. So this area for me feels a little bit like it's had a bit of a workout with the amount of talking I do during the sessions. So seeing how it feels for you. Again, feel free to move the jaw, open the mouth, close the mouth, see how it feels, noticing if there's anything we need to pay attention to. As we come down into the throat area now. And again, just noticing how it is. It's not just about the muscles that move our body, but feeling how your throat feels, how you're breathing, how you're just interacting with the different parts of your body. From the throat, let's go around to the back of our head now, into our neck, starting right from the top of our neck. And we're going to go down each vertebrae, or at least imagining each vertebrae is there, checking in on it and seeing how it is. Now, we did just do quite a bit of movement there in our spine, so it might feel like it's a bit tired, a little bit achy. but nice and mobile at the same time, so. Just paying attention to that, noticing it. And then let's move on. We're gonna come back up into our shoulders now. The top of our arms, the shoulders here, feeling there how they are. Again, we can move them around a bit, see how they're going. And down our arms now. So whether you can feel these areas or not, try and focus on it, notice how it is. And as we go down into our elbows, seeing how they are, just imagine this, you're having a conversation with your own body. You're just seeing how it is, noticing any differences, noticing anything that is happening. And the more we do this and the more you talk with your body, the better understanding you'll have of it. So you'll know how it feels normally, or if something's changed or something you need to pay attention to. Going down the forearm into the wrists. Again, you can move them around, maybe noticing if there's any areas that are a bit more restrictive in the movement. Down through our hands and our fingers and thumbs as well. Yeah, we can wiggle them around, seeing how they feel. And coming back right the way through our body and then down into our hips. Now, for me personally, I can't feel below my chest, but coming down into this area, we're just doing the best we can to try and put some of the focus and attention. If that's the same for you, then that's fine. Just see how you're moving slightly if you can, or just how it feels, how you're interacting with it. Moving down the upper legs, into the knees, down the lower legs, through the calf muscles, into the ankles, into your feet and your toes. Good, okay. So what I want you to do now, I want you to keep that focus down at your toes, and I want you to imagine as you breathe in, we're going to do a big breath in through the nose, and you're going to have like a wave of blue going from the tip of your toes all the way to the top of your head in one big breath. So when you're ready to, breathing in, feeling up the body from the tip of your toes all the way to the top of your head, and then one big breath out. Now, as you breathe out, open up your eyes, coming back to reality, and finishing the session there today. Really good job, everybody.